one of our new agents, he just, in answering objections, he felt uncomfortable thinking that he was being too pushy using some of the objection techniques that I was teaching on the phone and being too pushy. And I've done several videos in the past on that whole concept of being too pushy. And so what I told him was, you're really not as pushy as you think you're pushy, okay? You're really not going there. But here's the thing, the pushy thing is a mentality, okay? Whether you're being pushy or not is really not the point. The point is if you're feeling pushy, then you probably are, and you're probably not talking to the client with the right frame of mind, with the right approach. Okay. Our approach is not to convince the client to do anything they don't want to do. And so typically for a brand new agent in sales, you kind of have this concept of sales where you're trying to tell the client stuff, you're trying to convince them to buy. And the other thing is what most new agents do, they try to be nice. Like they try to be overly nice. And being nice is not the point. Being caring about someone and caring that they get covered is really the point. It's not nice to just to be nice so you can make a close. In fact, if you're thinking that nice will close deals, in fact, being nice will get you think about it every time. Well, it was great information. Listen, I'm going to think about it. I'll give you a call if I should decide to do anything. They feel like you're so nice, you don't care. You're not going to care. They don't care about you. See, they don't care about you. They care about them, right? So our focus is how can I serve this client if they meet my criteria of being a client? And so we totally reverse the perspective of what our relationship is with a client. We're not trying to tell the client some slick script that could close them. All we're trying to do is ask them questions to determine if they really deserve my help. My time's valuable. Think of it this way. My time is worth $500 an hour. And so if this person's going to steal my time and they're not a serious client, then I just lost $500 where I could have been sitting down with another client that was serious and loved their family that I can take care of them. So our concept is I'm going to ask this person questions to qualify them to see if I need to spend another second on this phone. I'm not being a jerk. I'm just going to ask them questions. And so I'm asking questions because I want them to tell me that they have someone they love. Questions like, so tell me, Joe, what was important about this policy? What did you want this policy to do for you? So for example, who's the loved one that's going to have to carry the burden of paying for all your funeral expenses? Who would that person be? Well, it's my daughter, Mary. Oh, okay. So tell me more about Mary. How old is she? Do you have any grandchildren with her? So she's like the responsible one and how many kids do you have? Is she like, oh yeah, she's my oldest and responsible. Okay, great. So let me summarize what I think you're telling me is that you love Mary and Mary's your daughter, that you want to make sure that she has enough money to take care of your cremation or funeral. By the way, which one were you looking at? She would have enough money to pay for your funeral. She wouldn't have to put it on a credit card. She wouldn't have to beg your family to chip in on it. She wouldn't have to suffer the embarrassment of putting a GoFundMe page up to try to get the public to help pay for your funeral. You want to make sure she gets a check from the insurance company, tax-free, that she'd have enough to cover, majority of your final expenses. Is that what I'm hearing? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, cool. By answering that question, she has someone that she loves and she has a need. So that she qualifies for my time. If she said, well, I don't know who, I guess my brother, but I don't know, I'm not sure. Okay, Joan, I'm curious. Does it even matter to you if anyone pays for your funeral? Like when you die, does it matter that anyone does anything? Like you're going to be dead. It doesn't matter, right? So there's no one that cares enough about you that would have to put up the money for this. When you put it like that, I can't think of anyone right now. All right. Have a nice day. Call me if you can think of someone. I'm to the next lead because I'm not going to try to convince someone to buy insurance when they don't have anyone that loves them and no one that they love that's going to cover their final expenses. Like why try to convince them to buy a policy? Like most slimy agents, they'll say, well, we can put a beneficiary in later. Why don't we just put your brother, what's his name? We'll put your brother in there and I'll find it where it's affordable. And they're going to try to do some slick sales technique. And then she's going to do it just to get you off the phone. And then she cancels her policy the next week before the premium payment comes out because she doesn't really want it. And then you get a chargeback. Okay, man, the 11th commandment is thou shalt not fooleth thyselfeth. Okay, you're fooling yourself. You're trying to sell someone with no need. The whole purpose of handling objections is to determine if this person deserves your time. And the way you find that out is, do they love someone and do they want to see that someone get a check instead of a bill, right? Does that make sense, everybody? I'm going to assume silence means yes. You want to be empathetic. Being empathetic with someone to understand them. See, people seek to be understood, which means you have to be a good listener, which means they have to be talking. When stuff is coming out of their mouth, they won't have any objections to what they're saying. But when you tell them you should get a policy so that Mary will have money to protect you or to bury you, you don't want to leave her with a debt, you don't want her to put on a credit card, all of a sudden you're doing the you, and they're putting all kinds of objections because you're telling them stuff. Isn't it better for them to say, my daughter's Mary. Yeah, she's the one that have to pay for everything. You want her to tell you, which tells me that she's not going to object to what she's saying. She's telling herself what she needs. And when you can have them tell themselves what they need, and they're justifying to you why you should spend more time with them, it totally changes the whole world for you. And when you can understand that, it's not about being nice, it's about being empathetic. And you become empathetic by asking questions, because the only way you can be empathetic is to understand them. You have to seek first to understand. Listen, and then ask another question. Listen, ask another question. And every time you have to tell them something, you restate what they said. Sounds to me like this is what you're looking for. You want to make sure that Mary will have enough money to pay for the entire funeral or majority of the funeral, so she's not going to have to go begging for money from your relatives. She's not going to have to put it on a credit card. She's not going to have to take it out of her retirement. She's not going to have to take their kids out of private school in order to pay for your funeral. Is that what I'm hearing you say? Yes, that's it. Okay, perfect. So let me tell you what happens next. So now you're thinking you're in the telling mode, but you're still in question mode. So here's what happens next. Now I'm going to ask you some questions so I can find out more about your health situation and understand more about what you need. So then I can use that to go shop around for different carriers. We have 55 carriers. I'm going to find the best product that will cover you, and I'll present 3 different options for you to pick from, and so all we're doing is going to see if you qualify. This is not a decision night tonight. Tonight's not a think about it night, because I get clients that tell me they want to think about it. Okay, that's all we're going to do is we're going to find the price that fits your budget and the coverage that you need. And then we're going to send it into the insurance company to make sure that they're going to approve you first. So there's nothing to think about it until we know that they're going to approve you. Should they approve you, then they're going to send your policy back to you, and then I'm going to come over and then we're going to go over everything with you to make sure it's got everything that you're looking for. Now, how does that sound to you? Does that sound like a process that you're good with? Are you okay with that? Question, right? You finish up with a question. Yeah, that sounds great. Boom, you closed it. You're done. You're not done. You got to do everything else like you said you're going to do. Prevent think about it. That's how you stop getting think about it, right? So it starts with seeking first to understand, empathy. You care enough to ask questions to determine if you should spend more of your valuable time with them. Should they qualify to be a client because they have someone they love and they are clear in what they want to accomplish with this policy, then it allows you to move forward and spend time with them to do everything else. Okay, gang? That's our sales process in a nutshell. So you're not being pushy. You are caring. Like, let me give you another analogy. Let's say you go into cardiac arrest. Your heart goes into atrial fibrillation. It's like fluttering. It's not beating. A paramedic comes. Now, one paramedic will come and go, oh, I'm brand new. I don't want to hurt you. So I'm only going to press just a little bit to see if your heart can get started. I'm just going to press a little bit so it doesn't hurt. Is that okay? Let's just see if I can get your heart started. Then you got the experienced paramedic who cares that you live. They're going to go hog nasty on 2, 3. What is it? What's the song? It's a Earth, Wind, and Fire song that you do.
It's Staying Alive.
Staying alive. Staying alive, staying alive. And you're pumping that sucker. You don't care if you're breaking ribs because you're supposed to, actually. And what is it? 3 fingers down from the sternum? Or 3 fingers, anyway, up from the sternum. Anyway. Okay, this is not going to be a Red Cross CPR, of course. Who do you want trying to pump your heart to try to get your heart going? You want the person that's strong, cares enough to exert pressure, positive pressure, to get your heart going. Wouldn't you want that? Well, that's what you are. You are their paramedic. They've got a problem. They're sitting there, their heart's not beating, and you're there to help them. Now, if their heart's beating and they're fine, you're not going to press on their heart because they're fine. Good. I don't need to spend my energy with you because you've got everything taken care of. You're like, you don't need it, whatever. I'm moving on. Okay. Does that make sense, gang? Hope that analogy made sense. 9:27, 3 more minutes. Who's got any more questions? You didn't know that was the pace on, and then what is it? How many you got to do? And then anyway.
And just in case you're wondering, there's no breaths and it's 100 beats.
Yeah, this is current because Tamara's husband is a firefighter and your son's a paramedic, right?
They're both firefighter paramedics.
Paramedics, okay. So it's 100 beats?
Yeah, it's just a constant keep pushing.
And no breaths?
Okay. No breaths.
Okay. Old school. Don't listen to me. Listen to someone who knows. Okay, but Tamara, you're not just going to go, okay, I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to break their sternum. You are pumping.
Push it. Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you for correcting me. I'm always
just in case anybody has to perform, want them to do it correctly.
That's right. What is it? Like you do this? Like you kind of do the rap?
They say that you don't even have to worry about that too much anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, the heel of your hand.
Okay.
So that you get it in the right spot.
Yeah.
Straight, no bend in the elbow.
No bend in the elbows. That's right. Like on TV, you really don't want to follow what they're doing because they're doing it as actors and they have to, anyway. All right, let's get off that one. We got 1 more minute. Thank you, by the way. Anybody else? Okay, gang.